Welcome to this week's Wellness Wednesday. I'm a little bit devastated. I just bought a new ring light and it's not working. It's like turning on and flashing at me. So you get Tara in the dark this Wellness Wednesday. You can see the lovely plant and sign in the back though, so that's beautiful. Anyhow, welcome guys. So excited to be here for another Wellness Wednesday. So my phone fits in my new ring light, but the light isn't working, so I'm gonna have to get my handyman onto that, my tech support, aka hubby. Alrighty, so we're talking about fad diets, energy, B vitamins, so rushing women. They're kind of a few things meshed into one tonight, because what I want to focus on and really get across to those that it's relevant to is that sometimes we're lacking a lot of nutrients because of certain aspects, certain things that are happening in our life. So, hey, I've got some people jumping on and saying hi. So what I want to do is I want to go through and talk more about this, because it's how many people struggle with energy or with having the time to prepare nutritious meals, or just feeling like they're rushing and they're crazy busy. So I'm going to just jump in. We're going to talk all about it. We're going to talk about why fad diets don't work while we're struggling to make the time to make nutritious meals, a bit about the B vitamins. If you're part of my mailing list, you will have got the email that has all the information in it around B vitamins. Hey Nat, how you going? Hey Mickey. So there's a whole PDF handout. It's actually in the hub that you can download in the file section that talks about the B vitamins specifically and what they do in our body. But I'm going to give you guys, we've got 15 minutes. Like literally I could talk for hours on these topics. So if you're feeling like you jump on Wellness Wednesday, hey Tess, and you're like, this was helpful, but I felt like I only just scraped the surface, that's all I can do in 15 minutes. So if you feel like this is a concern for you, please reach out. We'll have a chat, see how I can support you further. So B vitamins, basically they're the water-soluble vitamins that we need in our body, and we get them from our food. So what they do is they absorb via water, they don't stick around in our body, and they need to be replenished. So what they do is they help us to convert our food to our energy. So some of you might have heard about ATP, the energy, might have heard about it in sports science, things like that, physical ed, that kind of stuff, where ATP is the energy of our cells. It's like we eat carbs, fats, proteins, and then they get converted into energy through ATP. Now, vitamins that are vital for this process, this energy cycle, to happen, we need the B vitamins. Now, this energy cycle is so complex. I literally did my nutrition exam for this today. That's why I'm like talking about it, because I'm like, I need to understand this. Best way to understand this, teach. But it's a huge, big, complicated cycle of how we get our energy and how energy is created within our cells. But just know that the B vitamins are such an important part of this. One of the main things they do is they actually help to synthesize, so to create our neurotransmitters. Now, when we're in a state of stress, rushing, busyness, aka modern life, we're using up those B vitamins because we're needing more of those neurotransmitters and things like that, because everything's just going haywire. So that's why often we can see so many issues with our B vitamins, and also related to our gut health, because if we're not absorbing them, then we're not going to have them in the first place to then go into that energy cycle, that ATP cycle. So what we need to do is we need to look at, okay, what's happening in my life with my stress, and what's happening in regards to the food I'm taking in, and also gut health. So it's always a multifaceted approach with anything health. Like we can't just isolate one section, but I want to try and give you some information, a little bit of a snippet for you to think about. So I'm not saying that we're all depleted of B vitamins. You may not be, but what I want to do is draw your attention to consider, okay, a B vitamin, something that may be going on for me. Now, there's a whole, as I said, they cover so many incredible roles in our body. I've put a handout with the B vitamins as well as vitamin C, because it's also water soluble, and great for our bodies as well, immune system, skin, collagen, everything like that. So what I want to do is I want to talk about the 3 things that we can start to do to be able to support our energy and to support our bodies nutritionally, and to move away from fad diets. Because what can happen with fad diets, and I'm talking about things where we significantly cut out a lot of different foods, which then means we're cutting out a lot of different nutrients. We really want to focus on eating a range of foods as we can. So we've heard before, eat a rainbow. And that's point number 1. I'm getting ahead of myself. So point number 1 with this is to ensure that you eat as many different food groups and types of food as you can. And we're all guilty of it. How many of you kind of get in a role and you're like, yes, I've been making this amazing lentil dal and I'll eat it for the week, and then that's working, so we'll make it next week. Or you have like the same meals on rotation every day or every week, and you're just getting the same foods over and over again. One, you might be missing out on vital nutrients, different nutrients from different foods. And secondly, our gut bugs absolutely love a diversity of foods, of nutrients, because there's actually different microbes and stuff growing in different foods. So when we ingest different foods, we're going to get those microbes as well. So making sure we're getting a huge variety. Now, so many people, let me ask a question. How many of you have gone on a low carb diet before? Because carbs bad. Can't eat carbs. Oh my gosh, like there's such a carbophobia out there. And so what this means is that we're then eliminating our grains. Now, I'm the first to admit I have been gluten-free because of intolerances for years now. And in my training, research is showing that what I know and have been taught is that dairy and gluten can impact on our gut. Now, that's my training and what I believe. Different people believe different things work for different bodies. However, I choose to eat gluten-free grains. And I know there's a stage where I'd actually cut out a lot of my grains, and I was noticing I was feeling really tired, not only because I wasn't getting that energy from those whole grains, but also whole grains contain a whole heap of B vitamins, which our body needs. So thinking about changing your relationship with food, no foods are good or bad. It's just a huge array of factors that come together. If weight maintenance is a concern for people, if health issues are a concern for people, it's not just one bad thing. Like it's not just carbs, it's not just fats, it's not just stress. It's like a whole nutritional, social, emotional, physical aspect to our health. So we can't just be like carbs are bad, okay? We need to look at the whole picture. B vitamins, grains are just one part of that picture. And as you see, as I go through the weeks, like I give you guys different topics that we focus on. So you can kind of grab things and maybe focus on that for a week and maybe consider these things. Because I know how overwhelming health can be because there's so much information out there. So I'm blabbing on. Number 1, ensure you're including as many food groups as you can and as many colors, variety. So even go, okay, well, this week I'm going to try a new vegetable. I'm going to try a new fruit in my smoothie or on my porridge. Like I'm going to have a different kind of fruit or vegetable. So think about mixing it up. So that's number 1. Try 1 to 2 different foods a week. 2, ensure that you're eating frequently throughout the day. So this is, I suppose this comes back to 2 things. It comes back to the fad diets. Often in diets, we cut calories. The issue with that, you guys probably heard me say before, is when we go on a diet and we cut calories, we also cut nutrients. You cannot eat, if you're concerned about weight, which, it's definitely not my focus, but I know it's actually a concern for 50% of the world's population want to lose weight. That's what the stats are saying. 50% of the world feel unhappy with their weight. Healthy living is a byproduct. That's what I focus on. But it comes down to these fad diets where we're cutting nutrients. We're cutting calories, so we're cutting nutrients. And we need, even though we need micrograms, like tiny little bits of these vitamins, when we're on fad diets and we're cutting out calories and therefore these nutrients, And when we're rushing around and not making the time to eat nutritious meals, we're missing out on not just these B vitamins and vitamin C, we're missing out on a whole range of nutrients and vitamins and minerals. So I really want to talk to this point too about eating frequently throughout the day. Now, I'm too busy. Work's been crazy. I've worked late. I've got children. I need to feed kids. I need to feed husband. I need to fill in the blank, like whatever excuses that we come up with, and we all do it. I've been away for the weekend. I'm on holidays. I can't be bothered. I'm tired. I've got no motivation. I don't know what to cook. Any of these resonating? So we all have excuses, and we can have excuses or results. And people can often say to me, and I really want to make this a really important point. People often say to me is, oh, I'm just lazy. There is no such thing as lazy. I'm here to tell you there is absolutely no such thing as lazy. There are physical, mental, or emotional blocks and barriers holding you back and not taking action on those things. So it's asking yourself different questions and not labeling yourself. It's if you feel this way, it's saying to yourself, okay, well, what is making me feel like I'm lazy? Like what's happening physically, what's happening mentally or emotionally to make me feel like I don't have the motivation to do this. So there's no such thing as lazy. So we all have the same amount of hours in the day, but often these things can hold us back, whether it's not eating frequently enough because we're rushing or busy, or cutting calories and cutting food because we think that's going to be a weight loss regime. Hate to tell you, but your body actually has a set point, a set weight point. And so if you then decide to really rapidly lose weight, it goes, oh my gosh, and it kicks in your hunger hormones. It goes, you need to eat. You're in a famine. So you need to eat some food and you need to get your weight back up because we're in a famine right now. So as soon as we start to lose weight, our body feels like it's in a famine. Now it can fluctuate a little bit, but in extreme cases, that's why you'll often see is people might lose weight, but then what happens, and this is why we're talking fad diets, is that they will then start to plateau, or they'll start to put that weight back on. Now, there are ways around that, and we focus on healthy living and have a huge range of things, not just on the fad diet. This is more when it comes to fad diets, you might see this happening. So it's about small, sustainable changes over time. That's why we say, even like 1 kilo weight loss in a couple of weeks is fine. Like half a kilo weight loss in a couple of weeks, things like 0.6 of a kilogram in a week is totally normal weight loss. So it can take up to 6 months to lose 5 kilos or 10 kilos. And so the reverse also goes for people who are wanting to put weight on. So it works both ways. So another side note, I could talk about this topic all day, as you can see. So the fear of putting on weight, or due to the busyness of life, we're not getting enough nutrients there for our B vitamins. And preparation is key here. You cannot give from an empty cup. It's about putting you first. And I have a plethora of super simple, easy recipes on my website. They are all plant-based. You can chuck some meat in there if you choose. But they're super simple, like literally take me 5 minutes to prepare. And if you need more support with this and you're finding this a struggle, please reach out to me, because this really matters. Like these B vitamins are so vital for our energy, but they're also super, super important for our central nervous system, for our brain, our nerves, our neurons, like everything. So they matter so much. And you'll see the list in the PDF over in the hub with the different things on that. And if you're on my mailing list, you're going to get that as well with the PDF. If you're not on my mailing list, there's sign up links all over the place. So when you opt in for the free Goal Getter PDF. Okay, so let's have a look at what's going on in your life, either around dieting or either around your rushing woman or your priorities, and why you're not eating frequently throughout the day, because your body will go into starvation. It will hold the fat. It will also be missing a lot of those B vitamins that you need, because we need a little bit, but we also only get tiny little bits from our food too. So eating regularly 3 meals, 2 snacks throughout the day is going to ensure that we're getting those B vitamins. A lot of them are very high in your grains and your nuts and seeds, and ones like your B12, really, really high in your meat, particularly liver, if anyone's up for some liver, and folate's also in dark leafy greens. So you can get them whether you're plant-based or whether you're eating meat. If you are plant-based, that's a discussion for another day, and please connect with me because supplementation of certain B vitamins is really, really important, particularly B12, because that can actually lead to a really severe form of anemia. So iron deficiency, in that if you become totally deficient in B12, which can happen over years because it is in your system, but it starts to deplete if you don't have any animal products. But it can also be seen in people who are having animal products just because of absorption and things like that. But if you are on a plant-based or a vegan diet, please let's chat, because you can actually wear down your gut lining, which is not good. It's actually irreversible. So that's a big one. That's why B12 is just so important. So if you know of anyone on plant-based diets, please make sure they're getting their B vitamins. Okay, and you can easily supplement with them, and there's specific forms that are more absorbable and active forms for your body, like methylcobalamin. Say that 10 times fast, I mean. Okay, I'm going on so much tonight, but I'm so passionate about these topics that I talk about. If you've got any questions, please type in the chat, let me know. Okay, so we've talked about ensuring you're just eating a rainbow of foods. Look on my website for different options. We've talked about eating frequently throughout the day. Let's chat about what's happening with fad dieting or what's happening with rushing women syndrome. I just use that as a general term to encapsulate stress, busyness in the mind, busyness in the body, rushing around, like anything that causes stress in our body. Comes from Dr. Libby Weaver. She's awesome. And speaking of which, the third point is to make sure that we are reframing or managing our stress and that rushing women syndrome. As I said, B vitamins deplete when we're stressed because we use them up. I have so many tips on stress. Like I always talk about stress management. It's like the pendulum's going to be swinging out here to stress. We need to make sure we've got the other side swinging back to the other side of the pendulum to counteract all the stress that's happening over here. So what are we doing over here? What's the self-care that we're doing? What about the breath work, the meditation? Like self-care shouldn't be another chore on your to-do list. It should be something that lights you up, makes you feel amazing. So if it's sleeping a little bit longer, awesome. If it's going for a walk, great. If it's playing with your dog, awesome. Like just think of things that light you up and help to bring that kind of pendulum and have it like so it's kind of balancing a little bit more in the middle. Now, stress may not be something that you can avoid in your life. And if you are coupling it with that decreased energy intake, perhaps looking at B vitamin supplementation, if there's other stuff going on, please chat to practitioners, health professionals about this. So if you've got any questions on any of this, please let me know. Always remember, food is best. Food is best, but however, sometimes the batteries are really, really low and we need to fill them up with coupling that with supplementation. So that's something to consider as well if you've got hormonal gut health stuff going on or a really busy, stressful life. Magnesium is also a really important one that I say, even get some magnesium flakes, foot spa, and get your magnesium through the soles of your feet. Really, another really good one that's really important for our bodily functions and depletes during stress. So how do you think you're doing with your B vitamins? Have you ever considered B vitamins before? Are you getting enough nutrients in your day? Are you someone who fad diets, or do you really cut your calories down in fear of putting on weight? What are your stress levels like? But as I said, like I eat more now than I've ever eaten, and I am at the most comfortable body weight that I have ever been at. And the reason is because I make sure that I stick to, like a small portion of healthy fats. Don't go overboard. As much as I love my cashew cheese, having like 40 to 60% carbohydrates, like fruits and vegetables and whole food forms are going to be the best option. It's when we start adding in the saturated fats from animals and the processed fats from junk foods and too much of those processed foods, that's where we start to see the issues. So you cannot eat too much of a beautiful sweet potato lentil salad. Well, maybe you could, but think about how can I top up my food with more leafy greens? Like think more nutritious, non-starchy foods as you can, and you can't go wrong, and fill up on those because there's going to be a stack of vitamins in them. So today, call to action. What is one thing you can do today to increase your B vitamins and your energy? make sure you head over to the hub, or make sure you're part of my mailing list and check out the B vitamins PDF. It's got more information on it, including the recommended daily intake, how much you should be having of each. So guys, I trust that was helpful. Please yell out if you've got any questions, and hopefully my fancy ring light will be working next week. And I will see you all then. Have a beautiful week.